What's going on, guys? Cusimano here with the new Real Estate Roadmap podcast. We usually have co-hosts with us, but one's at a closing, one's sick. And actually, our two backup co-hosts, Jair and JD, they're on spring break having fun with their kids. But I will argue this is just as exciting as Disney World and spring break. I have Ryan Smith here, and he has a very unique take on growing his business. And that's why we're excited to have him on the podcast, because that's what we focus on. He does some stuff that I don't do in my coaching, and the stuff that other people don't do, to who you've heard on our pod. So Ryan has a company called Launch Your Farm, and he's going to give us more details, but he's going to give us tips and tricks on how to do geo farming in a modern way. Is that right, Ryan?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Well, before we do that, tell the people who you are, where you're from, how long you've been in the biz, all that jazz.
Sure. I'll give you my super condensed version of who I am. So, like I said, I'm Ryan Smith. I've been in the business. I've been licensed for 17 years now. I got started, and it was, you'll see a theme in my story is love. And so I got out of a relationship. I was young. I was 25 years old. Got started. I got my license, and I wanted a fresh start. I got out of a relationship. I moved 3.5 hours away. I didn't know anyone other than my aunt and uncle, and I was going to sell in cottage country. I thought it'd be a great start. Didn't realize what this business was. I had no experience with sales, no experience with marketing, no nothing. I just, like most agents, jump into it, not know. I joined a team. Thankfully, I was lucky enough to join a team that was really heavy on marketing and understanding direct response marketing. I learned the ropes being on the team, and then I met someone. I moved an hour and a bit away, started all over again. So I started my business from scratch, relearned the business, and then tried everything over the first few years. I tried everything you could think of. If there was a strategy, I jumped on it. I wasn't cracking anything really like at a top level. I was doing well with internet leads and things like that. I tried farming. I failed miserably at it. I did what everyone else said to do. I did all the old school stuff of sending the postcards and trying it. Didn't have any success with it. A few years later, my mom got sick, and I was driving back and forth to see my parents on the weekends, and it just got really tiring. It was 3 hours drive every weekend. So I ended up packing up, moving closer to my family, started all over again. So I was an hour away from where I grew up. Then I took on a job as a productivity coach. So I was coaching other agents, helping them grow their businesses. And then I realized there's trends and themes. I started seeing things again from the things I've learned over the years, things that I was helping other agents apply to their business. And then I applied the strategies that I kind of condensed over the years into farming in a different way. And I started farming with a business partner, and we started farming in September. No experience, no sales in the area. And by December, we got our first listing appointment, took the listing in January. And over the next 15 months, we did 17 transactions in an area with no sales, no nothing. And I realized there's a big difference on how most people teach farming and what we were doing. And I really started diving into what that was. So I knew I wanted to help other agents kind of figure this out. So I started teaching other agents as well. And about just before COVID hit, I started my Launch Your Farm company, and I started helping other agents do it in their business. And then again, 3.5 years ago, I moved again. My partner and we moved down to my hometown. So her and I run the business, and we started all over again. So she's now doing the farming, and I'm doing the training. So that's the super 17-year version.
Isn't it amazing that we can live through all those experiences and all those struggles, and if you just in 30 seconds you can bang it out?
Yeah.
But Ryan, but what you said is exactly why you're here today, because inside of what I teach and I coach in my training is not to farm it, and the reason why, and this is why you're here, because when I read about you and I heard about what you did, I'm like, he has something that I haven't learned yet, which is hard. I've been doing this since I'm 19. I was 19, and I'm in my 40s. I want to know what that is, because maybe I should do it. And two, well, anyways, well, that was that. So and the reason why I'm against farming, and I not against it, but I'm going to say it's probably not the most cost productive way of doing a real estate business, is because this is what typically happens, right? Typically happens, a real estate agent enters the game, and they're trying to figure out a way to promote themselves. And they have a number of avenues that are handed to them. And the coaches and gurus all say the same thing for the most part. They'll say, cold call, door knock, expired, FSBOs, and if you have some cash, start mailing flyers to your neighborhood. Yeah. Here's the problem with a lot of people lean into the flyers part if they have a little capital. A lot of agents don't, but you need a lot of capital, from my experience, and you'll need 2 years of consistent mailers and nurturing. 2 years. before you start getting a foothold. So if you do the math on that, so let's say your farm is 1,000 homes, and each mailer is going to cost roughly, I don't know, $1.50, right? So you're looking at what? You're looking at $1,500 per month times 2 years. That's money going out, and you still don't have any money coming in, right?
Yep.
So if you have no money coming in and a lot of money going out, you're also, not only are you not making money, not only are you spending money, but you're also not getting your reps in. What do I mean by your reps? Your reps is just skill set of realtors, is how to negotiate, how to sell property, how to handle transactions, the contractual law, the process. And if you're going 2 years ish without many of those reps getting in, your skill set's not climbing, your money's going down, and your stress levels are going up. So my argument was like, no, I have a method I call the Dream 300 method, which you don't need any money. You can leverage the algorithms in your favor. Um, but even that takes, a couple months. But anyways, that was my argument, and I'm super excited to hear how you can tell me how I'm wrong.
Sure. Yeah. So I will say I spit in the face of most traditional farming, and I'm offend people who want to do traditional farming because of the exact same reason you just said. And that is, the truth is that it does take a long time if you're doing traditional geographic farming.
Yep.
Most people, when they get into business, exactly like you said, they're handed these strategies, they're told to do these things. And farming, when it comes to that, most people tell you, go out there and just send postcards and get your name out there. And the thought process is, if I just send out enough stuff, enough times to enough people, eventually they're going to remember me and they're going to want to work with me.
Yeah, numbers game.
And that, and like you said, though, there's a huge cost to that. And it's not just the cost of printing the stuff, it's the cost of the time, it's the cost of delivering it, it's the cost of the opportunity cost. So when I started my farm, I completely went against the grain of what most people do with farming. And what we did was, first step we did was we branded ourselves around the community. So rather than be Ryan Smith Real Estate Team, it was the Orchard, which is the neighborhood that we farmed. So there was 3,600 homes in the area, and we branded ourselves as the Orchard Real Estate Team. I did that very purposefully. Instantly, we're separating ourselves from the competition. There's, in our area, I'm in the Greater Toronto area. If anyone knows, there's 90,000 real estate agents in our area. So to stand out against 90,000 agents, right? So there's a ton of people, and most agents are doing the same things. They're all doing, look at me, I'm number one, I sell more homes, I'm better than everyone. And that's the strategy that most people do. So first step was we branded ourselves around the community, and that alone just creates a differentiator. So when we say that we're the specialists in this community, we are the community area experts, we started to separate ourselves. And then what we did was, rather than try to focus on getting our name out there, we wanted to focus on, how can we get people's names into us? How do we get people to put their hand up? How do we get people to say, yes, I want more information. Yes, I'd like to get information from you. How do we get permission to follow up with them? And that's the mistake that agents make when it comes to farming, is they think it's about getting their name out there. And they think that if I just tell enough people, they're going to remember me. The reality is, people aren't going to remember you unless you have a huge budget and spend 2 years doing it. So we said, how do we get people to put their hand up? So we developed a program I call my neighborhood home price report. So we created a program where people sign up, they get information, and we send it to them each month. And what we did was, we had binders from the dollar store, and we printed off a cover on it, and it was a 3-ring binder. And we sent each month all the sales that happened in the area. We had in our MLS had like a 3-up. There's like 3 listings. We created a monthly newsletter that we would send out with it, and a little bit of information and some tips and tricks and things like that. And the purpose of it was for them to hold on to the binder. So we said, we're going to give you a binder with all the information, and each month we're going to update that binder. We're going to drop off the information to you each month, and it's going to show you all the sales and the stats and information that's going on. And the purpose of it was for them to hold on to it, because most people, when they get a flyer, most, they don't even read it, they throw it out. So we ended up getting 450 people on average at any given time were getting our binder, and the cost was expensive up front, but the long-term return was huge. And we would go to appointments, and they'd have their binder ready. They're sitting on the desk, it's sitting on they have it there. And it created something that was super valuable. So from a cost perspective, you mentioned the return. So we tracked it. I spent about $12,000. We did a 21 times return on investment on that investment up front. And that was in 15 months. Most agents aren't even getting a return for 15 months.
No, you're not usually even getting a call for a while. You got to, in most farming situations, you have that sleeping dragon there who's been there forever. And then once you start farming in that area hard, that sleeping dragon gets woken, and then all of a sudden all that marketing washes you out, and they already have top of mind status.
Yeah.
So, right?
So So yeah, so then our focus was not the 3,600 people. It was the 400 people. So I would say your farm, the area you're farming, is really the funnel for your real farm. And the real farm becomes the people that are in your database that you collect from that, the people that put their hand up, the people that you're following up with, the people that you're building the relationships with. And then it becomes, how do I love on those people? How do I create as much value for those people as possible? And then we started layering in other things. We did community events and we did open houses, and we started doing online ads and things like that. But really it became, how do we put as much attention to the people that put their hand up and love on those people? And that's where the real magic comes out. And that's where you start to get the real traction.
So, question ever, by the way, love this. I've never thought of this, and I've seen a lot. So, and it's simple, which is even better. So, how, this is what people are going to ask. From the time that you start this process to the time you'll get a listing is what?
So we got, for personally, we started, like I said, in September and got our first listing by January. So we had our first listing appointment was in December and got our first listing in January. So it was quick. There's other strategies I teach that agents can get quicker results if they're willing to go out and do it. I've layered in things over the years that now enhance it, and that's we can get into more other strategies. But for us, we got results quickly. When we moved to Fort Erie, we followed the same model. We switched to a digital version rather than a hard copy. And Nikki, my partner, she got, I think it was in 4 months, she got her first listing from that as well, just from that.
So do you still recommend the physical version, or do you recommend?
So it comes down to cost and then how big of a scope you want to focus on. So I sell people that I coach that are doing it, and they do a physical copy. They've been doing it for years. One of my first coaching clients, he has been doing this religiously for 8 years, and he every year does 6 figures from his farm. It's on autopilot. His admin just prints stuff out every month and sends it out. I switched to digital for a couple of reasons. We expanded and we reached broader areas outside of our initial farm. And then just from a time perspective, the conversions will definitely drop off if you go to digital.
Yeah.
So it comes down to your budget and how much you want to reinvest.
Yeah. That's well, the thing is, when you also have the physical version, is also labor intensive too. So it's not just the cost; it's
That's exactly.
the labor cost as well. So of course you'll have less people. Digital, you can probably just scale as big as you want, but then it's less personalized. There's less touches involved.
Exactly.
But it's also cheaper. I kind of like the version of it personally.
And we're switching back to it. So you asked, is we're going back to doing that for people who don't have email. We're putting a more emphasis on senior citizens in our market. We have a lot higher population of seniors, so we're switching back to that ourselves as well.
Yeah, that's fascinating. So, so basically the process is, and I know you have a whole, by the way, let's just tell everyone what it is in case you can't listen to the whole podcast. You have a whole coaching and training platform on this. It takes you step by step, right? And that is called what?
It's the Local Expert Academy. So I'm revamping that in May. We're redoing the whole thing. We're increasingly enhancing it as well. So
what I love about this is that in my coaching program, I talk about, it's all about leveraging algorithms in our favor. Like basically taking advantage of the money that Mark Zuckerberg put into Instagram and Facebook and using those platforms for a core select group of people in a very systematic way. Actually, as a matter of fact, I'm just giving you context because I want to tell you why I love what you're doing. We actually have, workbooks and what you do every day, month, et cetera, et cetera. I can send you one of these for free if you
love that.
If you want. So with that said, the biggest, I would say the biggest hurdle or objection I get inside of my training is that I'm talking about building relationships with your small group of people. And a lot of people will be in an area. So I have a course that says the 5 things I would do if I were brand new into an area and how to do that. This isn't on that list. And I love it because I think like I'm thinking like, man, if I had more time in my hand, I wish my admins, or I hope I'm going to play this for my admins and maybe they'll reach out to you. Maybe we could put something in play where we can put this in action for a year. And then, if it works, and then we just say, hey, Ryan's the guy for this. He's the one who gave me the idea and sent him off your way. I'm kind of very curious about it. I think it's super, super cool, man.
Happy to chat more about it.
Well, we are. Let's chat now.
So I want to add to, so the framework, what I look through when it comes to farming and how I see things, and it'll maybe help to unpack why I do what I do in the strategy. So looking at farming, I look at it very differently. So I call the CPR lens, and it's this. it's how you see farming. And CPR stands for community positioning and relationships.
Mhm.
And most people, when they do their farming, don't look through this lens. They don't have that kind of view on farming. So with the community, you have to be community focused and community first. A lot of agents go transaction first, and
Yeah,
that's where they drop the ball, because it's me, I'm great, or I'm trying to sell the next home. So you have to be community focused. The next part is the P, is positioning. In order to do well with this, you position yourself as an expert and an ambassador. And it doesn't mean you have to sold more homes. Just an example, it's like we brand ourselves around the community and built a positioning as the expert that way. We learned the models of the homes. We learned the builders. We knew the floor plans. We knew the schools. We knew the parks. We knew what the sales trends were in the area. So we were able to quickly position ourselves and say, hey, we stand out because we know all this information. The other agents don't have this kind of information. The other agents don't do this. They
that's a
didn't,
good
didn't
point.
take the time to do that. So we position ourselves as an expert very quickly. And then by being an ambassador to the community and say, hey, we care about you. We care about the community. We're fighting for you. People then start to see you and they connect with you on an emotional level. So they want to see you, connect with you, and know that you are there for their best interest. And then the last part is the relationships, which is the whole key to all of it. It's strengthening the relationships you have and building new relationships. And if you focus your attention through that lens, the opportunities to do different strategies are endless, and the ability to really stand out and create value become exponential. And it creates a really strong differentiator because you're doing it differently than most agents.
I love it. Yeah, my wheels are turning left and right here on exactly what you were just saying about creating that value. Now, you already said the information and all that is super valuable, not only to the homeowners, but they do want a real estate agent that is able to convey the perks and bonuses and uniqueness of that particular area. Like,
Yep.
why is this part cool? What's the coolest coffee shop down the street? Whatever. And now, what I was thinking of when you were talking about that, the values of it, I don't know if you're doing this or not, and if whatever, let's have a combo about it. But I personally love making content of local spots. Like we did one of a little coffee shop down the street. So like if you can say, hey, here are the top 3 coffee shops just down the street from you, whatever, and then maybe you have like a little video of each, then you can just scan it, and then all of a sudden they're either your Instagram follower or Facebook follower or something like that, or something like that. That's how that's
That's
where my wheels are
that's one of
turning.
the things I teach. That's one of the is local business interviews, and that's one of the most powerful things you can do. And it's local business interviews are phenomenal for a number of reasons, and there's 4 main reasons why I think you should do it. I'll be going out interviewing local businesses because you now have content for your existing audience. So you can now take that video, you can take that quick interview, say, hey, here's an interview I did with Joe Blow or this dog groomer or whoever, and share that with your audience. So that alone, if you just to create content and have that value, is huge. The second reason is the relationships you build with those local businesses is invaluable, especially if you're hyper locally focused and you're focused on long-term relationships. The connections with them is going to be huge. They're going to refer you to them. They're going to refer you to their friends and their family. They're going to want to work with you because of that. Those 2 are obvious, but the 2 that really people miss out on the most is the next one is they're going to share it with their audience. And that's one of the things we suggest doing is if you do a local interview with someone, one of the prerequisites is say, hey, we're going to do this for free. There's no cost to you. We're going to highlight your business. All we ask in return is that you highlight or share it with your audience. Now what happens is they now go share it with their audience, and now you have a much broader reach very quickly, very easily. So if you're a new agent and you want to get in front of people quickly, that is one of the best things you can do,
Yeah,
because now that
100%.
local business is saying, hey, I just got interviewed by Ryan. This video is awesome. Check this out. We did this interview. We just did one with a local electrician. He does backup generators. We're in an area that gets power outages all the time, so it's a big business here. And he shared that with his audience. We had 1,200 views on that video. We did a video with a Pokemon shop. They're awesome. They do all Pokemon stuff. My son loves
Sure.
Pokemon, and we shared that video. Last time I checked, I think we had about 1,100 views on that video, and about 600 of them came from them, from their sharing it with their audience. So we're reaching people quicker. We're reaching people that we wouldn't have reached. And the fourth reason is by them sharing it, we get the trust built in from them sharing it. And that's the biggest part of it. And I use Oprah Winfrey, Joe Rogan, Larry King as an example. When they have guests on their show, it elevates their expertise, and people
Yes.
now see them as the expert because they have the experts on. So we now elevate our expertise. When they share that local video with their audience, they build the trust in with us, and then we become credible as well. So it becomes super powerful. It's free. It's literally like you can set up, you can do it with your phone. A few things I would suggest under $100 that you can do to get it set up, but it becomes super valuable. Great way to get more exposure, and that really positions you as the expert and the ambassador because you're now being that person who's highlighting those local spots.
So you're going to take this content and then on your updates to your farm, in addition to everything else, you're gonna have what, like a QR code or a link or something like that?
Yeah, you can do that. You can do, and we do like giveaways. So we get them to, we do promotional giveaways and things like that. So the Pokemon shop, we had a drop your favorite Pokemon in the comments, and we'll enter you into a draw. Where this really starts to work is when you have your report, your newsletter that's going out each month, is then you start using that as your main hub. Now we highlight the local videos
Yeah.
there, so that's being sent out to our people. We get the businesses to share it with them, and everything starts to really cross promote and start working together.
So are these videos? I have a million I can go in a million directions here because the wheels are turning. These videos are where you so these are long form, just
No,
interview. No,
short. So the exact opposite. It's not a Joe Rogan 3.5 hour video. It's literally 2 to 3 minutes, 2 to 5 max, but usually 2 to 3 minutes. I use the who, what, where, when, why, how format. Just say, who are you? Where are you from? What do you do? How can people find out about you? What is it that makes you unique? And how can people connect with you?
where is this on IG?
So we do it in different spots, but I would host it natively in each platform. So like if you're going to be doing it on Instagram, host it in Instagram, host it on YouTube, host it in Facebook, and then it's going to have a more natural reach to get out there.
Okay, I'm on Instagram now. So Ryan Smith is going to be a lot.
I don't have it. It's Nikki does it. So if you go to, I'll send you a link on it. She does all of that.
Yeah, let's get you some followers.
So if you go to, let me find it. Give me a second.
You're good.
The last one she did. Hold on. Keep talking to me and I'll type it.
Oh no, you're good. You're good.
Right.
I opened up Instagram and of course I got distracted with my feed.
So I'll show you the Pokemon one. This is one of our first videos we did. 1 second here. Where is it? Videos.
Yeah. So while you're doing that, so they're short form. Yeah. So while you're digging through that, a couple of things I was also thinking about is that right in 2019, right before the COVID lockdowns, I started experimenting with B2B stuff, business to business, and I did about 6 or so months ish of business to business relationship building, where we did content video like that. They loved it, and another point of all of that you mentioned, the benefits of working with small business owners is they get it, they're entrepreneurs, they understand. Two, they don't know how to promote themselves a lot of times.
Exactly, 100%. That's the thing. Like, and most of these businesses are good at what they do, but they're not good at marketing or promotion. And we can become that person. And I firmly believe that if we can become the community ambassador, that becomes where people connect with us again. On my podcast, one of the first episodes I ever did was with Matt Santagapita. He's a great person to follow on doing local business interviews as well. He does it religiously. And he said, back in the day, 20 plus years ago, before the internet really took off, agents were the Rolodex for the community. People would call us and they'd say, hey, who do you know that does this? Who can you help? I need a plumber. I need a person. They would call us.
They still do that, just not as much.
Right. And now we're seeing that resurgence of it again, because now it's like, hey, there's so many people. Who can we connect us with again? Now we need to take that back and say, like, hey, we're the ones who have all this information. We're the ones who've vetted these people. We're the ones who've connected with them, and we can now become that ambassador and champion again.
Yeah. So I'm trying to again. There's a million ways I want to go with this. So first of all, actually, what was the name of the guy that you said that we should follow? Matt what?
Matt Santagapita.
Okay, spell that for me.
Santa.
Okay.
Gapatia. If you go to Launch Your Farm and then type in Matt Santagapita, you can watch the interview I did with him, and it's awesome. I think it's like episode 2 or 3. It's one of the very first episodes I did.
Okay, I got it. I just followed it on Instagram. Yeah,
so he's religious with the local businesses, and that's what he does, and he really highlights all the businesses. He does a whole like a input on what he does, what the businesses do, what they are like, and he interviews them. He's a great person to follow.
Yeah, I love that strategy. So when we did it, and this is good for real estate agents listening, when we did it in those 6 months, basically it was we were creating the content for them, and it wasn't an interview. They were actually a little more complicated, and I guess they don't have to be. And this was before really TikTok and Reels and all this stuff really took off, right? So when we did the when we would do like a kind of a commercial for them, which took time and money, and because they don't know how to market, so they loved it. And we would then additionally have host meetings every other month at a different establishment where all the people that we had it was like our version of a BNI. So it was our own little B2B networking group. They'll all
Yep.
come past each other's cards, and it worked out very well. Then we had the COVID lockdown, so we didn't pick it back up. There is an agent on my team who is working on picking it back up because I love the idea of this. Because not only do they rely on us to help them promote, not only are they entrepreneurs, but they talk to a lot of people.
That's the biggest thing. If they're in business, they have clients, and in order for them to stay in business, they have to have clients, and they have people coming in on a regular basis. And most agents aren't doing anything like this. They're not connecting with them this way. So this allows you to really stand out from the rest of the agents. And I'll give you an example. So we did an interview with our insurance company. So we live in a Century home. Our insurance skyrocketed last year because of the Century home. We switched insurance providers, and they got us a great rate. We did a video interview with him, and Nikki connected with him, and he's out now looking at a $1.5 million home plus a house to sell, plus he wants to refer us to a friend. And in our area, our average price point is $500,000. And that came from that connection, doing the business interviews, building those relationships, and that's huge.
Oh no, you nailed it. And another good point of that is for people who are familiar with my process or in my coaching and training, I'm all about creating and nurturing relationships for a small group of people.
Yeah.
And because you can definitely, that's the word of mouth and goodwill from that is great. But the quality of the people um in your sphere that you're working with, I call it the Dream 300. The quality of the people in there has a direct effect of the quality of the clients that you're going to get out of it. So if you're going to go and you're going to if you're struggling to fill up your database, or maybe your Dream 300 is not filled with the type of people that you wanted it to be filled with, I can't think of a better opportunity to go out and reach them with these small business owners who get it, understand it, that you can create content, you can create value with, you could put them on your IGs and Instagram, IGs, Facebook, TikToks, and all that stuff. And you could put them on your mailing list, and then they are inside of your database now
Yeah.
because it's called leveling up, right? But the but this isn't the Chris show, even though it kind of like deviated. This is the Ryan Smith the farming method of the future. And basically, what I got out of it, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, you have a sign up process. It's in opt in only. And then the opt in process is they now get a binder, 3-ring binder with a cover photo picture in it, whatever you want the cover, your logo and your whatever it wanted to be. And then you drop that off. And then the agreement is that on a monthly basis, you're going to provide them probably hole punch. I'm assuming 3 hole punch,
Yep.
um, local trends, comps, local shops, updates going on in the community,
Yep.
et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And you provide that. The thing about all this, 2 questions on it. Well, one is more of a statement. This is a commitment, right? You can't just start that and not.
Yes.
Yeah.
100%.
And I think that's an issue with a lot of agents. They have a hard time committing with something long term,
Yeah.
right? Yeah,
And
you
that
experiencing that?
100% true. And that is just like anything. And it's like real farming. It's you don't go plant a seed, water it once, come back and hope that something grows. There's a season to it. There's work that is involved, but the long term is huge. And this is where I use the example of the hunter gatherer versus a farmer. A hunter gatherer has to constantly look for that next deal, constantly search for it. And if things change, their market shifts and it's tough to keep up. When you do farming, you build those long-term relationships. And the ultimate goal is really like an orchard. If you think about an orchard, an apple tree or apple orchard, whatever, it takes years for those trees to grow. You can still get stuff from it, but once it's planted and those roots are planted, it just keeps producing year after year after year after year after year. So the harvest is way bigger with way less work. You can get way more from that versus as a solo hunter trying to catch one thing, it becomes worthwhile. Now, the one thing I always talk about is you have to think long term, but you have to act short term as well. And this is the difference between a lot of old school farming where it's like, yep, it's long term, and they just say, just think long term. Well, you have to do things now that are short term as well to try to get deals coming in. And this is where I teach called strategy stacking, where you layer your strategies together to build more reciprocity, to get more things happening in your community, to level up and rely on each other, or to work with each other. So one of the things I teach is borrowing listings. So that's how I got started when I was in the business. I borrowed listings and advertise them. So I'd get permission from agents. I would do ads online. I'd promote those listings in the area that I was trying to focus on. I'd start getting buyer leads from that. Then I got leads very quickly. Then I could take those leads and now go to sellers and say, hey, we've got buyers looking for this type of home in your area. If you're thinking about selling, we've got a list of 40 buyers who are already looking in this area. Now you can start cross-referencing that. And I'll use an example. So this happened when I had moved and I started over after I was coaching, and I had a buyer, or sorry, I had a borrowed a listing in an area that I was going to farm. I ran an ad, wasn't my listing. I borrowed that listing. I got a buyer out of it. That buyer wanted a property specifically in this neighborhood. So I went out, advertised to the neighborhood saying, hey, we've got a buyer looking for this type of property. If you're thinking about selling, let me know. I had 4 people reach out. 2 of them I ended up listing. One ended up going for sale by owner, and one didn't end up selling at all. So I got 2 listings out of it. Of those, then I sold them another property. They didn't get that one. And they ended up buying and selling another home with me. So it worked out to be close to like $100,000 in sales because I was borrowing that listing. And I created my own little ecosystem within what I was doing because I was proactive and lining people up. So you got to think strategically and not just do one strategy. This is where agents, they'll do like, okay, I'm going to door knock and that's it. Or I'm going to do open houses, and they don't do anything else. So when you layer it together, that's when you start to get traction quickly.
Do you see this in your inbox to your mailbox? I should say your physical inbox. You'll get these realtors who'll just put out one flyer.
Yep, 100%.
And that's it. And then you're like, and it's done.
Yeah.
It can't work that way. That's just not possible. So the other part of it that I'm curious about is the opt-in process. Are you willing to share that?
Yeah. So for which part? Because we have few different options, but for us, our report is our main focus. That's our baby, and that's everything is about how do we get people onto our report, and it's how do we put that into different setups. So door knocking is our easiest. It's one of the most effective. It's super incredibly efficient. It's great for getting leads. It's great for building the relationships. So Nikki does the door knocking. Her conversions are through the roof.
Hold on. So door knocking to get them to enroll into the program. Okay, so this is kind of important for people. When they hear door knocking, they freak out a little bit. But most door knocking strategies all about the take, and that makes us feel kind of scummy a little bit.
Yep.
This door knocking is like, hey, I have this service. Do you want to? It's free. Do you want to be involved?
And that's why I started doing this, because it was so much easier to do that and say, hey, I've got this awesome thing. Do you want it? And if they say no, it's like they're not rejecting me. They're not mad at me. It's not they don't like me. They just don't want it. So we offer the report and we say, hey, we've got this report. Did you want to get it? Most people that do this, that I coach, get between 25 and 40% conversions.
Sure. That's good.
Nikki's is through the roof. Hers last year was 48%. This year she's at 50% conversion. So if she speaks to you at the door, there's a 50% chance that she's going to sign you up at the door. She's good at it. But most agents, when they go to the door, they're not trying to get information. Like you said, they're trying to push. They're trying to say, work with me. I'm trying to sell something. And that pushes a lot of people away. So that's our biggest source of it. But then we layered into everything we do. So if we're doing an open house, we've got a sign-in sheet. Oh, sorry, we don't do a sign-in sheet. We have a survey. So in the survey says, would you rate the house for us? So we go curb appeal, 1 to 10, kitchen, 1 to 10, bedrooms, 1 to 10, lot size, bedrooms, overall, what do you think of the house, 1 to 10? And then we have a question that says, would you like to be kept up to date with this property? Would you like to get listings in this neighborhood? Would you like to get a copy of our report? We ask the homeowner or the buyers to come to take it through the house. They start filling it out. They're engaged. They like it. They're filling it out. Then they have to bring it back to us. So now we connect with them at the end. And 70% of the people will check off that they want the report because they're engaged, they want it, and they're like, oh, that sounds interesting. Yes, I'd like to get a copy of that report. So we do things like that. We do it at with our marketing that we send out, just general conversations. Like Nikki signed people up. She was getting stuff printed at the printing shop, and the lady's like, oh, you're a realtor. She's like, yeah, we have a report for the neighborhood. Did you want to get a copy? So it's just constantly, how can you get people to sign up for it, and think about how you can put it in. It's in our email signatures. It's in mailing pieces that we send out. It just becomes part of our overall ecosystem.
So with the sign-up process, and I love that. So with the sign-up process, and you might have answered it, but you said a lot. I might have missed it. So is it what? Like a QR code digital, so it instantly goes into a database? Is it a manual form?
We have a landing page for each of the neighborhoods that we send the report out to, so they can go on, so they can register for it. We have one for our whole town. So we have a general one. So if we're doing general marketing, it's 40report.com. Then they can choose what neighborhood they go to. And then we have domains for each neighborhood, so we can send them that way. We have used QR codes in marketing pieces depending on the right piece, like depending on what the purpose is.
I mean, when you're knocking on the door,
we sign them up manually. We sign them up. We have an app, a door knocking app that we use.
Oh, and then she just types in all their information there herself?
Yep. So and then we get them at the door. You say, we have a report. Did you want to get a copy? Sure. Okay, we're gonna be sending it on this date. Okay, perfect. Your name is, your number is. Okay, what's your best email to send it to? Okay, perfect. All right, we'll be sending that here. Let me know when you get a copy. We'll send the
Yeah,
report in.
I love it. I think the biggest thing is just taking action and starting. Don't worry about the details because there are a lot of details you're going to learn on the fly, or go through your coaching and not, or
Exactly.
you can just tell them what it is, right? And
Exactly.
then, and then, the part about the consistency part, right? So on the consistency piece,
Yep.
I showed you earlier. I have my workbook and daily journal and all that. Do you have something similar that you provide to your coaching clients where you do this on this day to
Yep.
keep them
So
consistent?
the coaching plan goes through and it literally goes week 1, do this, week 2, do this, week 3, do this, and you follow the process and you just go through it. Now, some people move at a faster pace, some people move at a slower pace. So I always say just it's the process you need to follow. And then with my coaching, we have group calls. So if they want help and trying to get unstuck, you can jump on the calls and go through everything as well.
When are your group calls? Is it consistently the same time, date?
Yeah. Yeah. So it's twice a month. We go, it's a second and fourth Tuesday. We're expanding it into 4 times a month as well in the next couple months.
I tell you what, I'm kind of jealous of that because mine is twice a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work setting it up, the prep for it, and then getting all the reminders out. Right.
Yeah.
That's a time consuming thing, but it is a very valuable piece. No, I like what you got going on here, man. It's super cool. I would like to continue this conversation
Yeah.
about possibly leveraging one another on our
Yeah.
platforms. I think that was
Happy to do
super
that.
cool let's do that. So awesome. So how do they find out your stuff and where to get it?
So we have the Local Expert Academy, which is you go to localexpertacademy.com right now. We're just switching over models. So May 1st, we're going to be rolling out the larger program. So if anyone signs up now under the Local Expert Academy, they're going to be locked in at the $99 a month. And we're more than doubling the price and we're adding a bunch more stuff in there. So if you get it now, and that's in Canadian dollars, so it's like $70 a month. So it's not expensive. So we're moving to adding in that the report whole training. I normally charge $2,000 for that program on its own. That's going to be included in there. And then we have a strategy each month. We unlock a strategy for you each month. And in May, you'll have access to all the strategies that we've released. So you'll have basically the whole training system. And then it's going through figuring out what strategies you want to implement and then following the basic plan.
Yeah, the whole song and dance. Now, are there tariffs applied to your Canadian product?
Yeah, not that maybe there needs to be. I haven't charged anything, but maybe I should.
Yeah, but you gotta increase your price for 25%,
Yeah,
like that,
yeah.
to us Americans. All right, cool, man. Yeah, listen, this is a great convo. But seriously, dude, I got your number here. I'm gonna get on the phone with you. I want to talk about maybe coach strategy if you don't mind.
Yeah, happy to.
All right, good. I'm gonna reach out to you for that. Very cool. Well, thank you for your time. Did you want to share anything else before we wrapped up this pod?
I would just say for me, it's just I was like the advice for me is like you said, is just start and it's figure it out as you go. And obviously, you can speed up the process by working with someone like you or myself. The key really is the consistency. And with my podcast, the number one advice I get from agents, I ask them is what's the best piece of advice, and the number one thing is consistency. And I can say that with 100% certainty is the more consistent you are, the more regular you are with things, the more you're going to be able to build. And it's just getting out there and doing it. And I've seen more people fail in farming because they've tried it versus committed to doing it. And if you want to actually succeed in farming, it's the sticking with it. And knowing what to do obviously is going to make a big difference. But the ones who just stick with it long term will pay off. And I've had agents come to me saying, well, I've tried farming. And it's like, well, how long did you do it? 3 months. That's like the 3 month cutoff. Like, it doesn't work. And they're on to the next thing.
90-day rule.
So if you're committed, I promise you'll outshine 90% of agents. So just get started, stick with it, and then learn from people like myself or yourself and stick with whatever you're going to do and do that long term.
Yeah, it's all about the consistency, right? For sure. There was an agent who I coached. There's an agent that I coached. She just won the number one producing agent for Keller Williams from it was from Orlando down to the Keys of Florida. Nice. And anyways, he used to be a coaching client of mine. Now he's doing his own thing, and he's killing it. But one thing he said when he was on stage is that it took him. I shouldn't stop looking at my phone. I keep looking at all these notifications, but it took him 4 to 5 months of consistently doing the stuff before then all of a sudden he got a hit and another hit. And that's a huge struggle with real estate agents because a lot of people come into this game with an employee mindset where they're trading their time for money as opposed to trading. Well, they're trading. They said they're trading their time for no money to eventually get to somewhere, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Trading their time for skill sets.
And it's not and it's not linear, and that's the thing that agents don't realize is that we think if I put this much time in, this much energy, and I'm going to get this much return. It's literally it's exponential, and the more you do it, and the more intentional you are, you get that hockey stick effect where it takes off, but they give up before that spike happens,
All the time.
and that's where the magic happens. Is that 6 feet from goal? Like they're almost there, and they give up. So if you just stick with it, commit to the right things, you're going to outshine 99% of agents.
Another problem that we run into with that on that same front is that, and I experienced this a lot with teammates, coaching clients, mentoring and stuff, is that people would get into this industry and then they'll spend the time, but they won't spend the actions in the work.
Yes,
So
100%.
it gets to about, I don't know, a year and a half in, and they literally didn't do anything. They're just there. They're going to trainings, they're going to coaches, but they don't do what they learn. And then they fail out time and time again. It's the people who take action like right away do it. So, before we end here, we might as well just talk about it live real quick.
Sure.
So, and we might as well, because we're already here and
Yeah.
it's all good and people deserve to hear our combo. So, um, I'm kind of interested in maybe you doing a guest session on one of our trainings and you tell me what you think here. So I take people through what's called the 4P framework. You know what? I want to share my, let me pull it up. Let me share a screen here so you can take a look. And I'm going to tell you what I'm thinking about for you specifically.
Sure.
And anyone listening, this might benefit you. All right, hold on. Share screen, entire screen, this screen. Boom. All right. Can you see my screen?
Yep.
All right. So basically the framework I take people through is how to develop a cool product. And then the second part is people, and how to pitch your product too. Now, I already mentioned earlier, I have different methods on how to get people into your, what I call your Dream 300. But I think this would be a good parlay to talk about people and promotion, these two boxes in one, where you can come on as a guest and it's like, hey, Chris and I had a conversation and he thought this was a really good opportunity or way to add people into your database and promote yourself that he wasn't teaching. Instead of him trying to teach it back,
Yeah.
I'm going to be your guest presenter for the hour and walk you through the process.
Yeah. Happy to do that.
You'll be game for that?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I can be a guest on your thing too?
Yep. We're doing that, and then I'm relaunching a podcast as well. So I'm reformatting my podcast into a more condensed version. I'm not publicly saying yet because I'm just putting the final touches on it. So we'll chat more about that too. I'll have you on for that too. So I think it'll be a good fit for you.
Okay. And before you get off, I'm putting you on the calendar right now.
All right.
You game for that?
Yep.
All right, hold on. I gotta look at the pulling it up. So we have a school community, SKOOL.
Nice.
Yeah, you're familiar.
Great.
And in there is our calendar of our classes. I want to see what makes sense. Hold on. Calendar in our classroom. Okay. So by the way, if you guys are listening, do you have a school community, Ryan?
I use High Level, so I'm building out a community within that. So that's part of the program that we're launching in May. It was going to be part of it.
Yeah, people are trying to switch me to High Level too, but I'm like, man, I have so much energy in Kajabi. It's like I'm not ready to. You like High Level?
I do. I used Thinkific for a long time for my courses, but I've switched over because everything's in one place. So I love it.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, they have communities in Kajabi too, but for some reason I always did it in school. But anyways, why don't we do April? Can you do April 3rd? It's noon Eastern time.
I literally have 3 things I'm doing. That's the one day I'm back to back.
Okay. How about April 15th?
Noon Eastern, you said?
Yep.
Yep, that works. I'll put that in.
All right, cool. I'm going to grab your email. I have your email. And I'm going to give you the official calendar invite. And I'm going to promote you. Awesome, man. See, I scored a guest host today, or a guest trainer. 415 Ryan Smith, farming, the new way of farming. I love it. Awesome. Cool. All right, brother. Where can people find you online besides your website?
Connect with me online. So I've got a Facebook group. That's the best place to get connected and see what I'm about. So if they go to The expert agent group.com. It'll take you to the page. So expertagentgroup.com. The expertagentgroup.com. You can join. You can join the Facebook group, connect with me. You can see more details about what we do, different programs and everything in there as well. And then you can connect with me on Facebook. That's where I'm most active.
All right, brother. I am going to reach out to you about our class that we tentatively put for 415, the expertagentgroup.com. Ryan Smith, my Toronto referral agent now.
Awesome. Appreciate it.
All right. Bye.
Thanks.